Previously on YouTube's The Drawing Dead.
You weren't going to come until I said something.
No, I 100% was going to come.
Guys, I just spent all night editing a video, but now I'm with my main man, Jaman Burton.
I need to get a good night's rest because tomorrow's my last day here. Friday, my last full day here in Vegas. It's around noon, and I was debating on where to play today. And then it hit me. There's one big property that I haven't played at yet. I haven't even visited yet. And although it seems to be most poker players' favorites, not a big favorite of mine. But I am in Vegas. I should swing by. It's early. I can get into a game and just chill for a while. So you know what? Let's go to the Wynn. The Wynn, the Encore. Let's go there. To the Wynn. I could walk to the Wynn, but I bet you I won't. Next stop, the Wynn, the Encore. You know, let's get into a game. Like I said, I could walk. I could easily walk to the Wynn. It's too hot. Do you know how hot it is outside? Not me. I might walk back after the sun goes down. I'm in a desert. So we're still at the Wynn. It's 4 o'clock. Been in the game about 3 hours, and things are going all right. Like I said earlier, I am not a big fan of the Wynn. Not the property. Property's fine. Customer service excellent. It's a beautiful place. Just the players are just kind of try-hardy sometimes. I don't know. Maybe it's changed. The table I'm at is not try-hardy. It's a good 2-5 game I'm in. So I get here and I get set down in a 2-5 game, 1500 max. I buy in for 1300 because I didn't bring as much cash as I thought I did. 1300's fine. We'll work with 1300. And we're working with 1300. I didn't record anything early on in the session, but there are a couple hands that I kind of wanted to go over. The first hand I opened under the gun to 20 with Ace-6 of hearts. Get 4 callers, which was kind of surprising because the table up to that point had been pretty nitty. The flop comes 7 of hearts, 5 of clubs, 2 of spades. I'm out of position versus 4 people. It's kind of borderline whether I c-bet this or not. But we wouldn't be talking about the hand probably if I didn't. I c-bet 55 and they all fold. So, a good start. A couple hands later, I look down to King 10 of diamonds from early position. I make it $25. Folds around to the button, who calls. The original limper calls. We see the flop 3 ways. Flop is Ace Queen 7 with the Queen of diamonds. So I have a gut shot, backdoor diamond draw, and that's about it. The big blind checks, I check, the button makes it 30, and we both call. The turn brings a 10 of clubs, so now I have a pair to go along with my gut shot. The big blind checks, I check, and the button checks as well. Now I'm looking for a hell of a river. That hell of a river doesn't come. 9 of spades. The big blind checks, I check, the button bets 105, and the big blind calls, only to see himself lose to queen 9. I started recording some hands here and there, so you'll probably see those. So overall, the session's going pretty well, unlike my Wynn sessions in the past. Currently, I'm up. So maybe I'm becoming a fan of the Wynn. Maybe.
I was really feeling good this session. I don't know if it was because of the big score the previous night at Bellagio or the carrot cake coma that followed, but whatever it was, I was definitely feeling me. The table was very talkative and funny, but at the same time on the tighter side when it came to entering pots. I took full advantage of this by expanding my opening range pretty wide and thus was opening a lot of hands. Here, I've straddled under the gun to $10 and next to act has raised to $30. 2 players call behind him and it folds back around to me. I look down at ace-king offsuit and choose to use a 3-bet sizing that the original raiser may think pretty suspect from a person that's been playing as many hands as I have. I make it $200. Unfortunately for me, my loose image doesn't generate the action I'm looking for, as they all really quickly fold. One of the problems I have with opening and playing as many hands as I was is that I start leveling myself into thinking that players are playing back at me, when they aren't. Not that they aren't capable of it, but it just doesn't happen as often as my brain is telling me it is. This hand is a good example of that. I opened to $20 for probably the 4th time out of the last 6 hands. I have ace-8 of diamonds. That's reasonable, but only I know that. The hijack calls, and I had a feeling he was getting a bit sick of my bullshit squeezes and constant splashing about. We see the flop heads up. The flop is pretty good for me. 5-5-3 with 2 diamonds. Standard continuation bet is definitely in order here, and I bet $35, which he calls. The turn, not so good for me. The jack of hearts. Wanting to keep my range wide to include overpairs, I bet $80 on the turn, knowing that this card is much better for him than me. Realistically, besides ace-jack suited, I shouldn't have too many jacks opening early, whereas he can have a bunch more. Queen-jack, king-jack, jack-10, jack-9 suited. You get the point. It's here that he raises to $185. I make the call of an additional $105 with my nut flush draw. The river comes the jack of diamonds, giving me that nut flush draw on a double paired board. I check the river because my hand is now basically just a bluff catcher. He bets super small, like 1/5 the pot, and I attempt to catch his bluff, which by the way is never a bluff, instead of just folding. And I lose this one to ace-jack. Nice hand. The run good from the night before apparently had no intentions of slowing down, as illustrated by the next couple of hands. folded to me in late position, and I look down at 2 queens and open to $20. There's 2 players at the table that I feel at this point really don't believe anything I'm doing. The guy 2 to my right, who has already folded, and the guy currently on the button. The button calls my open, and just the 2 of us see the flop. Jack Deuce 7 Rainbow. Normally this is an easy spot to continue betting, and maybe I should have, but my game time decision was to check, feign a bit of weakness on a board clearly better for him than for me, and hope that he takes the betting lead. He doesn't. He just checks behind. The turn 6 of clubs put 2 clubs on the board, and now things may get a little dicey. There's a lot more of his hands than mine that gain additional equity with the 6. Plus, I've already wasted a street of value playing around and being cute. So I decide to lead out for $40. He must have liked something because he calls behind. The river 8 of clubs I really don't like. Like, really, really don't like. Not only did the clubs get there, but some 7x combos are now 2 pair, and although it's possible that I have a flush, my hand should probably look like exactly what it is. 1 pair. I bet $50, and it's going to be really hard for me to call if he raises. He, however, doesn't. He frustratingly folds, and I win this one, despite the strange line I took. The very next hand. I look down at 2 queens again. Action plays out a bit different this time, as the other player that I feel doesn't believe me opens to 20, and the player between us calls. I 3-bet to 90, the original non-believing opener calls, and the third wheel folds. We are heads up. 7-6-4 Rainbow is much more coordinated than the last board. However, with the villain opening early and calling a 3-bet, he's more likely to have cards with former wear on them than middling cards that would enjoy this board. He checks, and for those reasons I down bet to $75. He doesn't take too long with it before calling. The turn pairs the 4 and completes the Badoogie. I'm not sure I can take a board like this for all 3 streets and decide to check it back. Maybe that will spurn on some river action? The river 6 of diamonds isn't a bad card for me at all. With the board double paired, maybe I'll get looked up by ace high. He checks for a 3rd time, and I insta-bet $100. He looks back at his hand quickly before letting it go. The early preflop action in this hand was all out of focus, so let me just tell you what happened. The early position player, 2 to my right, you know, one of the 2 guys that doesn't believe me, he's open to $20. I choose just the flat with ace queen of clubs, and the person on my left calls. The button then 3-bets, but he makes it pretty small, $80. The action is now on the original raiser. The original raiser calls 80, I call 80, and the guy to my left calls the 80. There are 4 of us in this pot. Without flopping a pair, there aren't many better flops I could ask for. Jack of clubs, 10 of clubs, 6 of spades. Staying within flow, action checks to the pre-flop 3-better, and he bets $130. The original raiser on my right calls, and I think I feel a slight movement in my pants as I grab a handful of black chips and announce all in. Small one. I have the table covered at this point, so the bet is about $1,100. The other 3 go into the tank.
Adam B, JP, WK, David Z, second call for 2-5, no one hold. Steve, table 12, 2-5, table change. Steve on table change. Dennis G, 2-5. D, G, 2-5. Dennis G, 2-5.
Me too. Yeah. Figured it was higher than mine. Higher than my 9. Nice hand. Ace King. Nice. It wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, I was going to get snapped so quickly. That would have been so painful.
Oh, here's Mr. Drew.
Yeah, see the power of Bieber? See what Bieber does for you?
Oh my
Yeah.
God. You know what Drew means on his shirt? I found that out. What he means. What is Justin Bieber's middle name?
Justin
Really?
Drew Bieber.
Oh, really? He representing Justin. Oh, come on.
He's Canadian. He's just better than us, you know?
Oh my God.
Canadians are just better than us. We got him, Celine, William Shatner.
Oh, yeah, so you put that.
A great session here at the Encore. In for 1,300. Yes. In for 1,300, out for almost 29. But we got to get out of here. We got to run over to the Rio.
The World Series poker adventure ends next time on The Drawing Dead.
So since I'm leaving tomorrow, I need everything charged right now. Charged, ready to go.
I know that you're curious. I know that you're strong.
Have a seat, my man.
Sit down on the bench.
I won't really get into the specifics of the hand that beat me, but I will say this. I was outplayed.
Who knows if we get joy or sorrow?
Always great to see you. Always.
You're right.
It's sad when I'm leaving.
No, that's probably the only negative thing about this room is that I feel like this room is more GTO robust.
Yeah. It's funny, like this is everybody's favorite room, and this is my least favorite room.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about this room generally are the games.
Yeah.
Like the
Floors, yeah, everything else is, yes. The way it looks, everything else is fantastic.
But they ain't coming here to give it away.
No. So 4 o'clock. Didn't record any hands early on in the session, but I have notes of everything. The turn brings the 10 of clubs. The turn brings the 10 of clubs. The turn brings the 10. The turn brings the 10 of clubs. The big blind checks. The turn brings the 10 of clubs. The big blind check. I check. The turn brings the 10 of clubs. The big blind checks. I check, and the button.
Hard taste in music reflect our everyday lives. Around 10 or 12 years